Today I'm checking out an upcoming free-to-play anime-style hero shooter called Fate Trigger. I requested interest some weeks ago and just the other day I was accepted into the beta, so the gameplay you're watching is my first hours in the game. With that said, I was more or less learning by doing as I was going when it comes to the different characters in Fate Trigger that are called Awakeners, each with unique abilities and roles. The recent anime shooter that I've played that reminds me a bit of Fate Trigger was Strinova, a game that I've covered a bit also with a couple of videos. However, the focus in Fate Trigger is not on arena game modes, although there's TDM available as well as an example, but the main game mode here is a battle royale mode called Awakeners Trials, which refers to this BR mode with anime-inspired visuals. These trials are a core part of the game's progression system and are linked to the Awakeners class. Completing the trials allows Awakeners to obtain a life-sustaining energy source called a Gensphere and evolve. As said, the game is currently in a playtest, but there was no option for me to register when starting up the game as a European player, only US and or an Asian. So I chose US and East Coast just for the sake of it. I haven't found any info where the servers are actually situated, but since I had a higher ping than normal, I'm pretty sure they are overseas and not in Europe where I live. Either way, Fate Trigger is developed by Saraoasis Studios and published by the same. The game will be available on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and Series S. The release date for Fate Trigger is expected to be in the second half of 2025 for PC, with console releases to follow, and the mobile version is planned for late 2025 or early 2026. Even though there was new things to learn and take into consideration when starting to play Fate Trigger, you are of course in a good place if you have played Battle Royale games before. However, I learned the hard way that the TTK in Fate Trigger is quite fast, so a more tactical approach to the game might be wise. Smoke nades can become your best friend early on, especially when crossing more open areas in this dynamic world with floating islands. The gunplay though is surprisingly good. I could feel that although I had a higher ping than I usually have when playing other games. Like in other BR games, you'll find a variety of weapons, and something to think of when playing the game is to find a long-range weapon like a DMR or a sniper and a close-range weapon such as an SMG or maybe even a shotgun in order to cover up different distances. A good old AR could also be an option instead of an SMG or shotgun. The Awakeners has, as mentioned, abilities. Some are passive, some are active. As an example, one character called Naze has a quality of life ability to make herself and teammates move faster. And Mindy is known for her ability to see loot through walls and call in airdrops. Actually, abilities, I would say the cars or even the vehicles in this game have abilities. For example, one can move faster, one have armor, and one can hover, so that is also pretty cool. Overall, knowing your character's abilities becomes important in Fate Trigger, since some of them are good in combination with your gun when taking down an enemy, and others when it comes to cover your team from enemy fire, or straight up heal teammates or help someone that has been downed. Again, the tactical aspect comes into play here. So if you're someone that enjoys a BR mode with this animated art style and characters, with a fast TTK, a tactical approach, and therefore also a game that rewards good team play, then Fate Trigger might be a game to put on your wish list. Since I've only dipped my toe into the Fate Trigger universe so far, I did look around to see what other players has to say about Fate Trigger. Remember though that we're still talking about a game that is about to be released. As with most games, there seems to be some mixed opinions when talking about Fate Trigger as well. Some players praise that it's fast-paced, strategic combat, while others criticize performance issues and inconsistent time to kill. Many appreciate the game's gunplay and the way it feels, especially the responsive player input. However, some find the map to be large and somewhat boring with infrequent encounters. I can agree that it sometimes feels a bit lonely out there, especially in the initial phase of a match. However, this also differs on whether you choose to land in a hot zone or not. But again, some do find the pacing to be slow. It seems overall, when I'm reading comments, that many players do appreciate that teamwork is vital for success, which can be engaging, and also the hero shooter aspect, meaning that the characters are having distinct abilities. I'm not surprised there, since most people that are way too tired of a hero shooter concept would most likely choose not to play the game to start with. When it comes to the negative feedback, it seems as if many players report performance problems as stated before, even on high-end systems, and cite the game struggling with Unreal Engine 5. As mentioned earlier, the map is large, we've said it already, and players have saying that they believe that the map is lacking also in interesting points of interest. Players has also been raising concerns about potential pay-to-win elements in Fate Trigger. Something that often comes up when a new free-to-play title is about to be released. I guess we'll have to wait and see how aggressive their monetization model will become in Fate Trigger, and if it's something that actually gives the player an advantage or not. So overall, it seems as if Fate Trigger do have potential with a solid foundation in its gunplay and character abilities. However, performance and map design and pacing issues are holding it back, maybe, from being a universally praised experience, meaning more players that want to get into the game, play, grind it, maybe also with friends. With that said, I think I've covered what I have experienced so far when it comes to, as I said myself before, dipping my toe into Fate Trigger. I'm of course curious to hear what you might have to say about the game. Maybe you have been in the playtest for some time, let me know in the comments. Or maybe you're just watching the video, curious to see what this game might be all about. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, we can have a bit of a chit chat. And have a beautiful day until we meet up again. Later!
The pale blight is spreading. Time to put our plans in motion.